You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your IT Fundamentals certification journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. In this episode, we explore three categories of data that play a vital role in modern IT and cybersecurity environments: system logs, location data, and browser history. Each of these data types is generated during normal use of systems and devices, and each can be used for monitoring, diagnostics, and security. By understanding what they are and how they function, learners can better recognize how digital activity is recorded and analyzed. These topics appear in Domain 6 of the Information Technology Fundamentals Plus exam and support foundational knowledge in privacy, security, and system maintenance. On the ITF Plus exam, you may be presented with scenarios involving these data types and asked to match each to its purpose. For example, you might be asked to identify which type of data helps track login attempts or which reveals which websites a user has visited. The exam does not require log analysis or command line skills, but it does expect you to understand what logs, location data, and browser history are, what they contain, and why they matter in an IT context. A system log is a record of events that occur within an operating system, application, or device. Logs are created automatically and are used to track activity over time. These records help IT professionals troubleshoot problems, monitor system health, and investigate incidents. Examples of logged events include system reboots, failed logins, software crashes, and successful updates. Because logs provide a timeline of system events, they are essential for diagnostics and auditing. There are several types of system logs, each focusing on different categories of activity. Security logs record access-related events such as login attempts or permission changes. Application logs capture events from specific programs, such as a database error or failed app launch. System logs provide a broader view, tracking events like service startup or hardware detection. In Windows environments, these logs can be viewed using the Event Viewer utility, which organizes logs by category and timestamp. Logs serve many important purposes in IT environments. One use is detecting unauthorized access attempts by reviewing failed login events. Another use is identifying when and why a system crashed, helping technicians resolve issues more efficiently. Logs can also be used to monitor user activity for compliance, ensuring that policies are being followed. For example, reviewing who accessed a sensitive folder and when can help verify whether access was appropriate. Location data refers to information about where a device is located, either physically or on a network. Devices can generate location data using several methods, including GPS signals, Wi-Fi triangulation, and cellular network data. This information can be collected by applications, web browsers, or the operating system itself. It is commonly used to provide services that depend on geographic positioning or to enforce security policies based on location. There are many practical uses of location data. For instance, mapping and navigation apps rely on accurate location data to guide users from point A to point B. Security tools may use location data to confirm that a user is logging in from an expected area. If a login attempt comes from a different country, an alert might be triggered. Some access control systems also enforce location-based restrictions, blocking users from accessing certain data unless they are in an approved geographic area. Despite its usefulness, location data presents several privacy concerns. It can reveal user behavior patterns, such as where someone lives, works, or frequently visits. If this data is collected without clear consent, it may violate privacy expectations or laws. For this reason, many privacy regulations, including the General Data Protection Regulation, treat location data as sensitive personal information. Devices and apps should give users clear options to opt in or opt out of location tracking. Browser history refers to the list of websites a user has visited over time. This information is typically stored locally on the device by default and includes URLs, timestamps, and in some cases, additional data like cached images or saved search terms. Browser history helps users quickly revisit frequently used sites and improves the browsing experience by remembering preferences or filling in address bars automatically. In addition to visited URLs, modern browsers store several related data types. These include cookies, which store session data and preferences, cached content, which helps web pages load faster, and download history, which shows what files have been retrieved. While this information improves performance and convenience, it also creates a trail of user activity that can be examined or deleted depending on privacy settings. The ability to manage these records is important for user awareness. Security professionals and support staff often look at this kind of data when troubleshooting or investigating user behavior. Browser history may help identify whether a user visited a malicious website, while cached files may help recreate what happened during an incident. Users themselves may also want to clear this data regularly to protect their privacy, especially when using public or shared devices. Browsers typically offer tools to manage this data manually or automatically. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. The Information Technology Fundamentals Plus exam includes scenario-based questions that test your ability to recognize the purpose of stored data types like logs and browser history. You might be shown a situation involving failed login attempts and asked what kind of data would help investigate the issue. The correct answer would reference system or security logs. Similarly, a question might describe a user accessing sensitive websites and ask which record would reveal that activity pointing to browser history. There are several key terms related to this topic that you should memorize for the exam. These include log, history, location data, event, browser cache, cookie, and tracking. Each of these words appears frequently in both user settings and system-level tools. Knowing what each one represents will help you match terms to descriptions, identify relevant examples, and interpret questions that ask about how data is used in troubleshooting or security. It's important to note what is not included on the exam. You will not be asked to open log files, interpret specific error messages, or configure logging settings in a system or browser. You will not need to understand command line tools or event log syntax. The exam focuses entirely on high-level recognition of data types and their purpose. The goal is to understand what these logs and records are, not how to manage them in a professional environment. Logs play an important role in basic troubleshooting. If a system keeps crashing or an application fails to open, logs can help determine the cause. Repeated entries in a system log can reveal hardware issues or misconfigured software. Logs can also show when unauthorized users are attempting to gain access, supporting early detection of security threats. On the exam, you may be asked to match a log's purpose to the scenario it helps resolve. In terms of access control, logs are especially helpful for tracking login and logout events. They show who accessed a system, at what time, and from which device or IP address. Failed login attempts can be a warning sign of a brute force attack or user error. Access logs are used by administrators and security teams to detect unusual patterns, enforce policy compliance, and conduct forensic reviews after an incident. Privacy and retention are major considerations when dealing with stored data like logs and browser history. While this information is useful for support and diagnostics, storing it indefinitely can raise privacy concerns. Best practices recommend retaining only the data necessary for operational or security purposes and deleting older data regularly. Organizations often rely on system or security policies to determine retention periods and automate the deletion of obsolete records. Users have control over their browser history and related settings. Most browsers offer an option to delete browsing history, clear cookies, and erase cache content. This helps maintain privacy, especially on shared or public devices. Private browsing, also known as incognito mode, is another feature that prevents the browser from storing history or cookies during a session. These tools give users more control over their digital footprint. Tracking through browser activity and location data is common on many websites and apps. Cookies and tracking scripts can monitor user behavior across sessions, recording actions like which pages are visited and how long users stay on them. While this data helps companies improve their services, it also raises privacy concerns. Many websites now include pop-up notices asking users to consent to cookie usage, reflecting growing awareness and regulation of online tracking. Logs and related data types are closely tied to broader security practices. They support confidentiality by helping detect unauthorized access. They support accountability by creating a record of who did what and when. They integrate with authentication and authorization systems to verify user behavior and help identify suspicious or malicious activity. In security audits and system health reviews, these logs provide the historical data needed to assess performance and detect anomalies. To summarize, system logs, location data, and browser history are three key categories of stored data that support troubleshooting, monitoring, and security. Logs record system activity and user actions. Location data helps identify where a device or user is operating. Browser history tracks websites visited and supports user convenience and security investigations. On the Information Technology Fundamentals Plus exam, you will be asked to recognize what each of these data types includes, how they are used, and why they matter in an IT context. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.